Hi everybody, welcome back. In this particular video what we're going to do is do picture making frames. Making your own picture frames out of wood that you can find for free. I live in a canyon, or in an area near a canyon where I can kind of walk around and find old wood that people have dumped out, or I find old barns or sheds, and sometimes I can buy big old truckloads of wood from somebody who's tearing down a old barn or something to get some really cool stuff. So I wanted to tell you what the process is going to be. I'm going to show you in just a second here. Let me show you the different materials that we're going to use to build our own frames and save some money, but also you can't buy frames like these. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we're going to use a table saw and a miter chop saw right there. I'm going to make our old frames. Last night I cut up a bunch of wood. That's about 10 frames right there, 9 that I make. I'm running out of small frames, so I found smaller pieces to use out of my stash. And this is gonna be a frame here, right here. You can see the back of it. I've already rabbited out the section there with my table saw for the insert for the picture. But what I'm gonna show is this particular piece right here. These two pieces are gonna be a frame. I have not done anything other than split it down the center line to make two pieces that are not even, but it's no big deal because our frame doesn't have to be a specific size. Here's an example of a frame I finished probably 6 months ago, which is pretty cool, really thick and bold. You can see how thick that guy is. And I cut an edge along the top there, and that brings out the grain, but you can see the weathering on it and stuff, which is really cool. And you can't buy frames like that, which is neat. This is from an old redwood frame around a window or door or something like that. I forgot where I got that, but that's some redwood, and you can see how the color of the redwood on the internal part, but also it's partly painted, and people like that when they're old and painted, which is partly worn off. And then you can get, with the nail holes, is kind of cool, and get some old nails and stick them back in there after you pull them out and run them through your table saw. Obviously you take them out before you run it through your table saw. So you don't have to buy this fancy chop saw like I have here. This is a rigid. I won that through a sales contest when I was in medical sales a long time ago, but it's a beauty. You can see the digital markings. Each degree is about 1/8 of an inch. I can get really precise. All I do is mainly use it for 45s and 90-degree cuts. And then we're going to use a little mini compressor over here that can move around a lot. That's going to be for the air gun, because we're going to nail it in. We're going to glue and nail the corners in with an air gun right down here. I'll show you that later, once we get it all made up. But I wanted to show you the process. This is a Ryobi table saw. Not very expensive, 10-inch, no big deal. I usually use carbide bit blades. They seem to, if you happen to hit a nail or something, then they last a lot longer, which is good. This is the rigid chop saw, is a 12-incher, but like I said, I had a smaller one. There's a 10-inch chop saw. Worked fine until I got this, but I got that for free, so can't beat it. It's a beautiful saw. So anyway, I'm gonna rock and roll here, and we'll do the process, and I'll show you how we make picture frames. This will be part 1. Thanks for watching. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do, we got to pick which side we want as the front and which is the back. I like this side best. As you can see, it's got old nail holes, so I'm going to take some old nails that I pulled out of old barns and sheds before and put them in there after we're all done. But I like these two sides here. This was the same piece of wood, it was really long, and I cut it down a little bit there and cut off the bad pieces. And obviously this is going to be the outside, the stuff that was still left over from when it was originally milled, and the part that I cut is going to be the inside. So we're going to make this the inside, and then this will be the outside, and this will be the face, if that makes sense. Hopefully that'll be fairly straightforward. So I'm going to set my table saw up so it's approximate. So we're going to cut the rabbet part in here with here. Instead of doing a router, routers are kind of difficult to do, and they're too much a hassle. You can do it real quick with a table saw here. Set it about right, and you can just eye it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Got the first cut, and I cut the back part here through here. check it out to see if it's going to fit real good. Hopefully it looks good. There we go. That's it easy, just that quick. So that's how easy and quickly you can do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Each of the frame, what I try to do with the wood too, I'm not making any specific size. I have done in the past. It's a little bit more work to measure it and make it exact, like 11 by 14 or 12 by 16 inset, but I try to get the most out of the wood that I can because I don't got a lot of wood, and then I make my metal pictures that you'll see in other videos to fit the frames. I cut the metal out to fit the frame, so it basically starts with a frame, and then I cut the picture out, picture size with the metal cutter, the plasma cutter, and then I make the picture to fit in the frame that I already have. So this is ready for the miter saw. So let's rock and roll with that in a second. Let me get it all set up. Okay, so what we got is I'm going to cut these in half, and I'm going to make a rectangular frame with these pieces. So it's going to end up with 4 pieces, and then I'll miter those cuts. But I definitely want to save these holes here. I don't want them to be on the end where I lose these holes, because the nails will go in them in the end for the final touches of the frame. So we're going to, first I got it set on 0, 90-degree cut. Make sure they're up against the back fence real good. Take my smallest piece for the sides, or the ends. Well, I got it on the 45, may as well make a couple more cuts here on these. Save that one till later. Alright. You can cut 2 at once, but you got to make sure that you get them lined up. So these will be 2 equal sides. And these 2 will be the other equal sides. Okay, so we got our 4 pieces here. These are obviously a little longer, so these 2 are going to be here. So let's kind of show what it's going to look like, and then we'll staple it up in a second. Nail it up. So it's almost going to be a square frame, but I needed a lot of frames that are about that size. So let me get this set down below and then we'll nail it up and go show you how it all gets put together with the glue and the nails. Okay, so here's the frame pretty much cut up, ready to be go. But what I wanted to do is I'm going to cut off the inside edge a little bit, like you saw on one of the frames, both the frames that I showed you that were finished off. So I take my blade, I put my blade at a 45-degree angle, take my fence, and then I kind of check it out ahead of time. I don't want to cut off too much. You can always cut off more later if you don't cut off enough. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed something, but what I should have done is cut that part when there was just two pieces. Then it would have been easier to run through my table saw. But I didn't think about that until after I did the cutting. So anyway, you live and learn, but learn from my mistakes and it'll help you out. So it's easier to cut one big long piece than cut some little small pieces off like that. I could have done that before I did the miter. Hey, well, this is all a learning experience, and that's my job, is to learn myself and give you a few tips to save yourself some time and some money. Okay, that's better. So now we got the frame ready to be nailed up. Let me take it over the nailing area.